going on, everybody? Hope you're all having a fantastic day today. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, I'll scrolling through the Reddit board, and the top post of the frickin' day is just once again another insane mindset to have about XDefiant. But guys, let's line it right up. You can see this from JbowenDaMan Games, saying this is what many people wanted, right? And then obviously there's a little meme of the surprise Pikachu face saying someone criticizing XDefiant for stuff like netcode or jump spam. And then toxic XDefiant fan, skill issue, go back to COD if you hate it. And then August 2024, XDefiant is slowly dying. It becomes progressively harder to find matches. And then toxic XDefiant fan, why is the game dying? Again, this mindset is just, it blows my mind. It's so many things I have to discuss with this. It's so many different things I have to discuss. First and foremost being, nobody, and when I say nobody, I mean nobody, was getting on anybody for talking about the problems with the netcode, the spam, which the jump spam did get patched up a little bit, obviously. And if you want it any further, I don't know what to tell you. They might nerf it a little bit more to 3 hops or something of that sort, but realistically, this is just the style of gameplay it is. You know, this is what the game, or the developers want this game to be. Telling the developers to remove jumping altogether, basically, and crouching altogether is basically saying to, like, Rainbow Six Siege to add B-hopping. You know what I'm saying? It's the complete opposite of what the game is built around. We can find a compromise, but we can't take away the identity, right? That's how I go into every single game when I, criticize or critique or whatever. I always look at the game for what it is, and then I review it accordingly, right? I don't review Battlefield, for those who know on this channel. I love Battlefield, but I don't review Battlefield with the COD mindset, right? Why would I do that? Battlefield's different, and the same thing goes for XDefiant. But again, for the netcode and the hit reg, nobody was saying to not discuss this. It just becomes a point where it's useless spam. That's what it becomes at a certain point, because the developers know, they talked about this, and this mindset for me personally transfers to every game I've ever played. When a development team acknowledges problems, and they show that they're competent, and they know what they're doing, I cut them some slack, I'll address the problems, but I'm not going to spam them. I mean, you can look at my channel on so many different things. Infinity Ward, for example, I don't cut them slack, because they will gladly go months on top of months on top of months on top of months not resolving issues, not even addressing it with their community. So guess what? I'm going to keep ramming it home. But for Sledgehammer Games, for example, with Modern Warfare 3, there were plenty of problems that I addressed, but I left it at that. And the community was going to town. They're like, oh my God, JB, why aren't you discussing the negatives all the time? Why aren't you doing anything? Because guess what? The developers are competent. They have showed to us time and time and time again they care. They've proven to us that they understand how to develop the game. And guess what? They resolve it. So, you see, it just proves why should I keep complaining about it. And again, the same thing goes for the netcode and the hit reg, right? And same thing with all the other bugs in this game. Yes, we can address the bugs, but it becomes a time where it just becomes simply spam. If the developers have addressed it, which they have, they said it's going to take months, maybe even up to a year for this type of stuff to be resolved. I trust them. And if they prove to me that they're not trustworthy, and they're not going to go ahead and resolve these issues, then I'll talk about it. I'll act on it. But to say that this game is not improved since day one is absolutely insane. Yes, I understand there are a few, things that are a little mixed, especially when it comes to connection. I think connection plays a massive role in why a lot of these issues are happening to certain players. But again, to say that there has been absolutely zero improvements, nothing has improved, is once again insane. And I see it all the time. It's not just the XDefiant community. This is for every, like I said, even in COD. I see it happen in COD all the freaking time. The developers will improve upon something, but since it doesn't fit someone's agenda, their hate agenda, they'll say, oh, no, nothing happened, nothing got fixed, nothing was resolved. Like, it's just a mindset. It really is a real mindset that transfers not just with XDefiant, but across every game you could possibly think of. There are a countless number of problems that Sledgehammer resolved with Modern Warfare 3 that I addressed. And like I said, I can't tell you how many comments said, oh, you're lying, you're full of crap. Everything is still bad, nothing has been resolved, these developers haven't done anything good for Modern Warfare 3. I can't tell you how many things have, gone in that direction. And the same thing happens with XDefiant here. Yes, there's still problems with the netcode and hit reg, 110%. Again, it is an issue that is going to take months, maybe up until a year to go ahead and resolve. So yes, it's still relevant in the game. But to say, once again, that nothing has improved, I don't even know if you played the game day one. And again, if it hasn't improved, it has to be something deeper than just the netcode and hitreg, maybe down to the connection. But there has 1010% been really solid improvements by this development team to improve the overall experience of this game. So yes, like I said earlier, we can address these things. And nobody's coming at your neck saying it's a skill issue. I don't know a single person saying, oh, it's a skill issue that you're still having netcode problems and hitreg problems. Like, I've seen people say it's a skill issue if they're complaining about the matchmaking in the game or something like that. But I've never seen someone say it's a skill issue if you're running into some serious netcode problems. No, I don't see that. What I do see is people saying to, again, stop with the spam. They know. They addressed it. They saw it. So there's no need for 50,000 more posts to be made about the topic. Again, we can make those posts again. If it doesn't get resolved, if they ignore us, if something changes and the tides change within this game, yeah, we can go ahead and line up 50,000 more posts. But nobody sees a reason to keep spamming this nonsense besides usually the same group of people who continuously keep spamming it. And that's something you got to keep in mind when it comes to a lot of these pages. The majority of people who enjoy these games aren't on these boards. And you could totally see that by going to any other subreddit on any game you could possibly think of. Modern Warfare 3, Halo, so many different games I could possibly think of, Battlefield. It's all negativity. It's all with a very slight sprinkle of positivity. The majority of people who go on these boards go there to vent their frustrations, vent their angers. It's not too many people who go there to say, oh, I love this game for this, and that. The majority of people who think that way, they don't bother. They barely even bother with their YouTube videos. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. I don't blame them. But a lot of them just want to simply enjoy the game. They don't feel a need to voice it. They just feel a need to play it. Whereas people who are angry with the game, they don't feel the need to play it. They feel the need to voice it, so they are more relevant in these boards. But again, there's another part of this post that I have to go ahead and address because, once again, it just blows my mind that people think this. But it's the end section of this meme, after the toxic XDefiant community says, skill issue, go back to God. And then it states XDefiant is slowly dying. It becomes progressively harder to find matches. And then the toxic XDefiant community says, oh, why is the game dying? If you thought that A, this game was going to pull in Fortnite numbers, or B, that this game was going to maintain that same hype that it did at launch, you have absolutely lost your mind. Now, yes, I definitely have gotten excited for this game getting a lot of hype. I've definitely gotten excited for, tons of people coming in. But I've always known that these people aren't staying. It's just common knowledge. I don't know, maybe it's because I do a bunch of stuff like content creation, for example. But just think of it in like a YouTube video form. Let's say you get a video out there that got 5,000 views, and I don't know, you just got like 20 subs or something like that. These numbers are all completely random. But you get another video that got 50,000 views, and you got 500 subscribers off of that video, right? Like, it's a drastic number, and we know for a fact, even though the game had a huge incline, that wasn't going to stay. The reason I'm excited for all those players coming in is because the more people that see it, the more players that might stick around and find out. Just like with that example, 5,000 people viewed the other video, I got 20 subs. But if 50,000 people viewed the other video and I got 500 subs, that's phenomenal. And those people aren't staying around. The 5,000 people who viewed that video, yeah, it might be a good chunk of people who are subscribed to the channel that checked it out. But there's still a massive audience of people that maybe found it on their homepage or, it randomly popped up on their channel that will never check out your channel. It's just a random person that just so happened to click on your video and they're going to go about their day. Over half the people from those 5,000 people are not going to come back. And same thing with the 50,000 view video. You know what I'm saying? 50,000 views, but I guarantee 45,000 of them aren't going to come back to the channel. They're not going to keep clicking. Maybe they will keep clicking for a little while, but they're not going to sub. They're not going to continue watching. You know what I'm saying? But you still got 500 people out of that to subscribe to your channel. So although you got a 50,000 view video, and sadly they aren't going to stick around, you still got 500 people to come and stick with your channel afterwards, right? And the same thing goes for XDefiant. You know what I'm saying? people need to drop the mindset that this game needs to pop off to be successful. No, we just wanted it to have a big enough hype, a big enough blast off that enough people would trickle off and actually stick around to play the game and see the outcome of it. And in my personal opinion, it has done that so successfully. It has done that so successfully because this game isn't going to compete with the COD. No game is going to compete with COD. And if you really think, again, if you really think that XDefiant was going to hold off the player count of BO6, you have lost your mind. BO6 is going to pop off just like any other Call of Duty game is going to pop off. And the next year it's going to pop off. And the next year is going to pop off. Every COD game is going to pop off. Okay? And XDefiant, although it has COD similarities, it's still so different in many ways that a hardcore COD player is not going to stick around with XDefiant because, you know, it's the true COD competitor. No, they're going to stick around with XDefiant because they enjoy the differences that the game has to offer. And that's why I'm saying that initial hype was huge, because it did build a core foundation of players who enjoyed XDefiant for XDefiant, and that's what we needed to keep pushing forward. And also, I have to address the player count thing as well. It's already been confirmed that the matchmaking is in a really rough spot right now, and it's trying to force you out of region constantly, hence why we're having really long search times. Again, search times aren't supposed to be that complex. It finds the best ping. And I've had many times where, you know, you find matches in like literally 2-3 seconds. And yes, I've also run into the long queue times, but guess what works? Backing out and rejoining, and then I get right back into, you know, regular matchmaking. Something's wrong with it. Something's wrong with it behind the scenes that it has to be worked on. So, you know, just because the queue times are slow, I don't think that's a really valid point when it's already a known bug within the game that needs to be resolved. But I will admit, yeah, the player count has definitely died down a lot. But again, that was to be expected. And anyone who says it's because of the netcode or because too many people are b-hopping or something of that sort, I'm sorry to tell it to you, but that's not the reason why it died down. The reason it died down is because that's just the natural course of gaming. You tell me what game out there, especially hardcore competitors for these games, that actually thrive on successfully and become top dog games. You know, I think of like the Finals, for example. You know what I'm saying? The Finals is a phenomenal game, but that game didn't maintain its hype. Splitgate, phenomenal game. It even got millions of dollars, you know, given to them to make Splitgate 2. But that game didn't hold its initial hype. You know, all these games, they come out, they launch, you know, they get into good spots, but they never hold that initial hype. It's just how gaming goes. You know, you already have your set franchises like COD and, you know, Battlefield, and you have those big BRs like, you know, Fortnite and Apex. All these other titles that have already established themselves and they're good to go. That's never going to change. They're already going to stay on that level. But for anybody else that's trying to hop up into the competition, you got to think more in marathon terms, the long haul. You can't think of a quick little sprint. Not every single game is going to drop like Apex and massively explode. And you want to know what the funniest thing about that is? All those games had horrible netcode problems, which is, you know, going to further prove the point that no, people didn't drop off from XDefiant because of just simply netcode. They might have just simply not enjoyed the game, which is perfectly fine. But this is just the natural course of things. Apex Legends lost a massive amount of its hype and had horrible netcode issues for almost a full year. Look at where it is now. Rainbow Six Siege, once again, fantastic drop, right? Everybody was excited, instantly died. Instantly died. In your guys' terms, I guess. In my opinion, it didn't die. It still had a player base. It still had people actively playing and enjoying the game. It's pretty much an XDefiant situation. But for the massive majority of the player base, oh, this game is dead. Oh, this game is over. It had netcode problems basically upwards of a year. And you can even look at it now on its own Reddit page. People are still having problems with hitreg and netcode. But guess what? It gained back its momentum. It got more popular. And it's a freaking juggernaut in the tax shooter realm. It's absolutely insane. So, like I've been saying, I don't think the netcode is the death of this game. And for people making it out to be such a big deal, I say look at every game out there. Every single game out there and tell me which one got destroyed because of its netcode. And which ones still have netcode problems. Look at Modern Warfare 3. I talk so good about Modern Warfare 3, and I enjoy that game. But you could still scroll through that game's whole Reddit board, and it's just a bunch of people saying the netcode's horrible, the connection's horrible, hitreg isn't doing... Like, but, you know, people are still enjoying it, though. Games just have these issues, and this game will lose some of its popularity. It will, especially since it's not some mainstream game. But let me tell you guys this one. Let me ask you guys a question. Why does it matter? Why does XDefiant have to outcompete Call of Duty to be, you know, a good game? Why does XDefiant need hundreds of thousands of people to view it on Twitch for it to be a good game? Why can't someone just simply enjoy XDefiant because they enjoy XDefiant? That's what I never understand. It's hilarious because when this game was irrelevant, when it first came out, the first mention of XDefiant, and I played that game and I loved it. I loved XDefiant ever since the very beginning. But since nobody knew about it, that's fine. He can enjoy it. But now, of course, XDefiant is in the spotlight and everybody's looking at it as the COD competitor. Everybody's like, oh, this guy has to be a shill now. Even though my opinion is never, I've enjoyed this game from the beginning. And I acknowledge the problems with the game, but I still enjoy it. But that puts me out as a shill now compared to back in the day when it wasn't popular. Nobody calls me a shill for enjoying Insurgency Sandstorm. That game is basically dead. Nobody called me a shill for enjoying Splitgate, and that game is basically dead. I just simply don't understand it. Why can't people just enjoy a game despite how many people are actively playing it or how many people are actively watching it? Why does that have to dictate how good or bad a game turns out to be? Shoot, some of my favorite games in the world have basically nobody watching or playing them at this point nowadays. You know what I'm saying? So what, are they bad now? You know, Gears of War 2, it's basically a dead game. You know, nobody's playing it as much anymore, but does that make it a bad game? No, it was a phenomenal title. But, you know, age hit it. You know, obviously times have moved on. So I guess that's a rough, judgmental, point there. But the point being made still is that you can enjoy games that aren't as popular. I mean, no, I shouldn't even say that because Gears of War is still a fun game, right? A fun multiplayer experience, and it's not that popular. Gears of War dies pretty much a year after it drops. But, you know, I take back everything I just said. I take back everything I just said because Gears of War is a good example. Because like I just said, it does die every single year it drops a new game. It never stays relevant anymore. It never competes with COD or, any other, battle royale experience. It's just Gears of War. Yet and still, I still really love it. I love the gameplay. Even in Gears 5, which is not my favorite Gears game, I would probably consider it one of the worst, next to Judgment. I can still play it. I can still enjoy it. And has nobody playing it. Nobody. So, again, my question is, why does a player count matter? Why can't someone simply enjoy the game, despite how many people are hopping into the experience? But ladies and gentlemen, as always, go down in the comments section, leave your opinions down below about how you feel about all this stuff. But if you guys enjoyed today's video, leave a like. If you hate it, leave a dislike. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. I post daily here at 8 in the morning Eastern Time. And of course, if you guys are interested in any of my live streams, I'll be live today over on Twitch between 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You guys will find a link to that channel down in the description of this video. But as always, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.